Welcome to Secret Story. Heather is my wife's best friend and she is gorgeous, plain and simple. Heather is a few years younger than me and has that girl next door look. She stands about 5 feet 2 inches tall, has short dirty blonde hair and blue/green eyes and a body that makes my head spin. I wouldn't have dared imagine it would actually happen, and that more was in store than just a look at my wife, being very jealous, would have had a fit if she knew what was going through my mind as I stole glances at Heather. Grant mentioned that he would be batching it for a few days soon as Heather had to travel to a seminar in a city about 3 hours away. We told Grant he was welcome to come over whenever he wanted if he got tired of his own cooking. I guess I wasn't thinking straight because I never put it together that I would be out of town that same week. My wife Terry had wanted to come along with me but couldn't get the time off work. It was Terry that remembered I was going to be in the city when Heather was going. "Brent, you're going to be there that week too," Terry said. "Huh? Really?" I answered, coming out of another fantasy. "The week of the 23rd. "Yes," Heather replied. "Are you there then?" "Yeah, I'm there all week. I've got to take a course for work." "Cool, I don't know anyone there. Maybe we could get together for dinner one night." "Sure, let's," I responded, proud of myself for keeping a noncommittal tone that I was already deep in fantasy mode as I considered what I would love to be doing one night, alone in the city with Heather. I loved these trips away from home. Trips where I went alone, that is. Every so often Terry would come along with me. Those trips were not near as much fun. I have never cheated on my wife physically, that I always take my laptop with me when I go away. When I have a hotel room to myself I can play and watch as much as I want, without fear of Terry coming home and finding me with my camera on, watching some woman get off online that I would have loved to on camera while people watch online like lots of couples do, but my wife would never agree to that. I envied the men I saw online. Whenever I went away all my spare time was spent online. However, I was certainly willing on this trip to give up an evening of play to be with Heather. The days drug on forever as I anticipated my trip. It seemed to take a lifetime before the day arrived, but eventually I was on my way. Heather had left the day before. She texted me as I was driving reminding me of our plans for dinner. She asked if we could get together that night. Apparently there were some evening activities with her conference that she might be committed to later on in the week. I agreed to get together that same evening and told her I would call at about 6 p.m. I was pretty happy thinking of being alone for the evening with Heather. At 4 o'clock I arrived in the city and checked into my hotel. I unpacked my clothes, then hooked up my computer to make sure the internet was working. I couldn't resist a quick look into my favorite chat site. As soon as I logged in I started searching for open cameras in the chat rooms. After looking around for a few minutes, I found a woman. Much to the appreciation of the men in the chat room, since I was planning to call Heather at about 6 o'clock, I decided I had time for a little playtime first. A quick stress reliever before we got together would be a good idea. I sent her a few more messages, but she was not typing. Could tell by the movements of her shoulders that her hands were busy but not on the keyboard. I sent her another message, "Can I see what you're playing with?" She never responded, but her camera was soon adjusted to show exactly what I wanted. Even with the less than ideal resolution of the webcam, "Thank you," I sent, "You're welcome." As is typical, we never typed much as we continued to play. Ring ring, went my phone, Terry calling to make sure I made it okay. "Hello. Hi Brent." It wasn't Terry, but Heather. That was a pleasant surprise. Hi Heather." I stammered. "My seminar is only across the street. When I saw your truck here on my way back I thought I'd stop by. I'm downstairs." "Oh, okay." I replied. "Still doing dinner tonight?" Sure," I answered. "Great." She sounded as happy as I was. Brent? Yeah. It's kinda embarrassing, but do you mind if I use your bathroom? I hate public ones, and my hotel is across town. I don't know if I'd make it." I began to panic. I had to clean up fast. "Okay. Sure. Room 118. Why didn't I have a room on the 10th floor or something? Thanks, be right there, she said, and the phone went dead. That I quickly slammed my laptop closed and threw the lubricant on the desk into a drawer. Jetting to the bathroom, I quickly wiped my hands on a small towel and ran back out. A knock on the door. I threw my shirt on and opened the door while trying to remain composed. Hi. Heather smiled. You're a lifesaver, thanks. No problem. Right in here. I waved my arm to indicate the washroom. Phew, I thought, that was close. I glanced around the room and saw that the camera was still set up. It was obvious what it was aimed at, being under the desk. I quickly unplugged it and threw it in a drawer. With one last look around the room for evidence, I turned on the TV, and sat on the sofa in front of it. Heather was a few minutes in the washroom, and came out smiling. Man, she was attractive. She wore a very businesslike skirt suit, a white blouse, and moderate heels. Her makeup was not overdone, nor her hair. She was striking. Thanks again. Oh, you're welcome. Anytime, I told her. So what time do you want to eat? And where? Oh, doesn't matter much to me. Me either, but you have to help me celebrate tonight. Oh. Why's that? I just found out that I'm in this seminar because I'm getting a promotion. She said with that giggle that melted me. Really? That's awesome. Good for you. Champagne it is. Ah, thanks, Heather said with a smile that men would crawl over glass for. Let's go then, I returned her smile. I just have to clean up a bit. 5 minutes. Okay, quick like a bunny. I want to celebrate. I stepped into the dressing area, grabbed a change of clothes and quickly washed up and got dressed. I noticed something sitting on the counter in the washroom, however. Picking it up, I saw it was an eyeliner pencil. Obviously Heather had touched up her makeup while she was using the washroom. Had her leaving it behind been on purpose, I wondered. Not likely, I conceded. Nice thought though. I stepped into the main room and found Heather lazily flipping through the TV channels. Ready to go? I asked. Yep, I'll just take one more pit stop before we go, she replied and moved toward the bathroom. I pretended to look at the TV, but once Heather was past me as she turned the corner into the bathroom, I noticed the dressing mirror. It had been right in front of her as she was walking to the bathroom. Had she seen the reflection of me watching her? That would be a bit embarrassing, I considered, but what the hell, she had to be used to men gawking at her. She stepped out of the bathroom with a little smile that made me question its motive and said, "Let's party." While moving toward the door, I turned out the lights and was right behind her when I noticed the bathroom light still on. I stepped in to turn it off and noticed the eyeliner pencil conspicuously still on the counter. She had to have seen it there. She had to have left it on purpose. Yes. I followed her out the door with a new frame of mind. Maybe Heather liked to get away as much as I did. Leaving the eyeliner is non-committal. She could come back for it or not, her choice. I loved the thought that she was giving herself the option to make my choice an easier option for her. I suggested we have dinner at the restaurant here in my hotel. She smiled and agreed. They'll certainly have champagne here, she grinned. I'm sure they will, I replied with a smile. We chose a table that was out of the way near a window. There were quite a few patrons in the restaurant, and as we walked in, every male head turned for a closer look at Heather. She appeared not to notice the attention she was attracting. These men, like myself, were away from home and felt safe to look, something they can't do at home. I pulled out a chair for Heather, and after she sat I took one beside her. We had a view of both the restaurant and the front entrance to the hotel. A waitress was soon to our table. She offered us menus and asked us what we'd like to drink. Champagne. We answered in unison. Heather giggled her giggle through her teeth and placed her hand lightly on my forearm. That's so funny, she said. Her touch was unexpected and electric. She let her hand stay a little longer than I thought she would, then she stroked my arm lightly and removed her hand. The waitress smiled and promised to bring the champagne right away. Heather laughed all of a sudden as the waitress walked away. What's so funny? I asked, smiling at her laughter. Well, what do you imagine anyone would think if they saw us sitting here in a hotel restaurant, drinking champagne? She answered with more giggles. Ha, I laughed. I guess you're right. I bet every man here is jealous of me. I continued, then immediately was concerned I had crossed a line. Ah, thanks Brent. Heather replied with a little smile. That is a nice thing to say. I mean it though. Just think. Most of the people in the restaurant are staying in the hotel, right? Yes, I expect so. Well, if they are away from home, they likely miss what home has to offer. And that is? Heather replied with a smirk as the waitress appeared with a champagne bucket and bottle. The waitress removed the wire and asked me to open the bottle. It popped loudly when I pulled the cork from it. Heather let out a little cheer and giggled again. She was sure in a giggly mood tonight, and she hadn't even touched the champagne yet that I poured us each a flute of champagne and held mine up to present a toast. To Heather. Congratulations on your promotion. You've done yourself proud. You have been recognized above your peers. Oh yeah, also congratulations to me, the envy of every man in the room, I finished with a smile that was returned in spades. Thank you Brent, Heather responded with her sweetest smile. For both comments. You're welcome, I smiled. I'm honored to share this celebration with you. I imagine Grant would rather he be here tonight than me though, I ventured. Oh, maybe. I'm sure he would like the promotion side of it, I'll be bringing home more money. As for the second part, I don't think he'd be as proud. Really? Why do you say that? I asked as I took another sip of champagne. Well, how can I say, he doesn't look at me the same as some men do. Especially when they think I don't see them, she grinned at me, then held her glass in front of her face to hide a giggle that I blushed. I could feel my cheeks flushing but had nothing to say. Obviously my sheepish look said enough and she laughed out loud, unable to control herself. I was completely embarrassed and tried to come up with something to say. Guys do that huh? Yes, she answered with a tone that said it was okay. I saw you watching me tonight Brent. Honestly, I'm flattered. Flattered, but you likely think I'm a jerk though. Nope. Just flattered, she answered with a smile that I must have still looked a bit guilty though because she placed her hand on my arm again and said honest Brent. It makes me feel good, as long as I don't feel threatened or anything. I know you wouldn't attack me or anything. Are you sure? I grinned. Sure, I'm sure. You wouldn't hurt me, would you Brent? Her expression and tone of voice was different as she said that, unlike any time I'd known her. It was a flash of inviting passion that I remembered seeing on Omen's faces when I was single. A kind of look that opened a door but protected against rejection. In a second it was gone. No, of course not. See, she giggled, I'm not worried. But I wouldn't let Terry catch you looking. She is very jealous of you. I know. I don't blame her though. Why is that? Well, lots of women would, you know. She said, sipping the last of her glassful. Oh, I'm sure, I answered sarcastically. Women don't look at me the way men look at you. The waitress appeared at the sign of Heather's empty glass. I finished my glassful as she refilled Heather's. When filling my glass emptied the bottle, I asked for another bottle. As the waitress left, Heather picked up the conversation where we left off. Lots of women notice you, it's just that women are more subtle and not just visual anyway. We are also listening to what men say and how you say it. Believe me, you get more than your share of attention, I've seen it. Really? I asked in mock excitement. When? Who? Heather laughed, not telling. Her eyes were dancing, I could see she was having a good time, the champagne had put her in a playful mood. The conversation was certainly taking on a charged tone which I was loving. Although we were friends, as were our spouses, Heather was now openly flirting with me. I was thrilled and excited by it and was certainly ready to follow her lead. I kept thinking about that eyeliner pencil she had left in my bathroom. Why not tell me? It would inflate your ego. Yeah, likely. I like being humble. I'm extremely good at it, I teased. Haha. You're so funny. Which is another thing women find attractive, by the way, she said over the brim of her glass. Really? Well, did I tell you the one about? Heather, while taking a sip of her champagne, laughed abruptly. Some of the drink sprayed onto her and me, mostly on me. In the commotion she dropped her glass, which broke on the table. Heather, while trying to control her giggling, reached for a napkin. Oh, I'm so sorry. She spoke through her laughter while wiping my shirt with the napkin. It's okay, I replied, laughing myself, self-induced I guess. Continuing to laugh, Heather dabbed at my shirt. I'm afraid that is going to show. Yes, I suppose it will. I really shouldn't sit here with a wet shirt, should I? I'll run to my room and change. I can't sit here by myself after this scene. I'm so embarrassed. Heather said as she looked sheepishly around the room. A few people were ignoring us, others were staring openly. The waitress came over to help clean up, carrying our second bottle of champagne. Thank you, I said. Would you please charge this to room 118 and send that bottle and a room service menu to my room? I handed her a $20 bill. Certainly sir, right away. Turning to Heather I spoke, we can eat in my room if that's okay with you. Maybe your skirt will dry by the time we've eaten. Okay. I'm really sorry about this, Brent, Heather said as we rose from the table. Heather had a cute little blush that displayed her embarrassment. She took my arm as we started out of the restaurant, all eyes on us. Don't worry about it a bit, I whispered to her. All the men were looking at you anyway, now you've given them an excuse. We quickly crossed the lobby, and made our way to my room. Unlocking the door I opened it and moved aside to let Heather lead the way into the room. She took a seat on the sofa and I sat on a chair almost facing her. I could sense some tension from her, she was still embarrassed, and her smile had faded to a grin. Well, I said, that was an experience. Heather laughed loudly, throwing her head back. It was that. We continued to laugh, talking about how the people had looked at us and what they must have been thinking, especially when we had the bottle sent to my room. It has been years since I've been in a hotel room with anyone except Grant, Heather said. Let alone another man. What would Grant think about us being here together? I asked. Let's not tell him, okay? She said with a grin. He isn't really jealous, but it does look suspicious, doesn't it? Imagine what Terry would say. I said, rolling my eyes. I can guess. We'd better keep this our little secret, she said with a little wink. Just then a light knock came on the door. I stepped to the door and opened it for room service. He wheeled in a cart that had the champagne and ice bucket and 2 glasses. Also on the cart was a little card with some chocolates. It read, with our compliments, enjoy your evening. I read it out to Heather. It seems everyone is getting the impression something is going on here. Well, let them think what they want, she said as I poured us each a drink. As I handed her a glass I said, I'm going to change my shirt, okay? Sure. Must be nice. She teased, I'm decidedly uncomfortable sitting in this wet skirt. I can lend you a t-shirt and a pair of shorts if you'd like. They'd be a bit big though. Thank you, I'll take you up on that, I don't care if they are too big. Can you imagine what Terry and Grant would say then, me in your clothes in a hotel? She chuckled. But what they don't know. That's right. It's our little secret, I said. In the drawers there, I pointed, you should find a couple of shirts and pairs of shorts, take your pick. I'm going to go change. I said as I went into the dressing area, closing the door. I removed my shirt and put on a clean one. Then I stepped into the bathroom, washed my face, brushed my teeth and hair and then opened the door into the main room. I was surprised to find Heather already changed. She sat on the sofa with a smirk, wearing my old Nike shorts and a Budweiser t-shirt. My gorgeous fantasy Heather in my baggy clothes sitting in my hotel room was a very sight, and she knew it. I took the chance that you would be a minute or two. She grinned, her eyes devilishly sparking over her glass. I've got to learn how to change clothes faster, I teased as I sat down. Yep, you're too slow, she said then continued. So, Brent. Yes. I looked in the wrong drawer for the clothes. It seems that you have other secrets you won't be telling Terry about. I immediately knew she had found my camera and lube that I had quickly stuffed in the drawer earlier. I was mortified and speechless. Heather just sat there looking at me with her little grin. I stewed in my embarrassment for a few seconds before she broke the silence. I guess we both have been embarrassed tonight. She giggled. Me, quite publicly, you, in a more private way. She was loving that I was totally embarrassed. I understand, but why the webcam? She continued. How could I explain it delicately? This was way too embarrassing. I could not bring myself to simply say so other people can watch me jerk off. Heather was chuckling at my discomfort. Okay, don't tell me, I can probably figure it out, she said with a coy grin. Our conversation was quickly moving from innocent flirting to outright discussion, and Heather was initiating it. She was obviously comfortable discussing highly private things with me. How far would she go with it? I wondered as I again reflected on the eyeliner left in my bathroom. This led me to consider that Heather could have said nothing about what she saw in the drawer. Why did she bring it up? She obviously wanted to pursue topics. I was happy to accommodate. Does Terry know you have webcam? She asked with raised eyebrows. No. I murmured behind my glass. She continued, and you don't tell her because she is too jealous? Yeah. I don't imagine. I never told her. So I'm guessing you go online and look at pictures of women? Yeah. Don't be embarrassed, Brent, I imagine all men do. She said with a coy smile. I would guess so, but I suspect they don't often talk about it with their friends, I said, still somewhat embarrassed. She laughed. I guess not, or spouses either, it seems, she added. I know Grant never talks to me about it when he does, and since we're being honest, I don't tell him either. Now there was a visual that I took her lead on the direction the conversation was going. So, how often don't you tell him? I asked with a grin. Oh, that was subtle, she chuckled. I don't tell him, about twice a week, she admitted, and you? Oh, about the same I'd think, except when I'm away, then it's 2-3 times a day. Her eyes widened and she laughed. Really? You said, honest, I told her. Wow. You mean women do that? She seemed amazed. Yes, all the time. They show everything. Yep, they sure do. Wow, that's something, she said. Aha. She continued, that is why you have a cam. You show yourself online too. She seemed proud to have figured it out that I was embarrassed somewhat, but she didn't appear to be disgusted or anything, which was a relief. I can see why you never told Terry, she laughed. I never thought of you as an exhibitionist, Brent. Not that I have a problem with it, I guess, it just surprises me. I never thought I was either, but once I went into these chat rooms, it seems that lots of people are. Wow, it's hard to believe that so many people would be showing themselves to complete strangers. Heather was very interested in the concept. She was sitting forward on the sofa, and her eyes kept moving from me to glance over to the computer sitting on the desk. I was pretty sure I knew what she was thinking that I poured us each another drink and said, you seem to have doubts. I guess I'll have to show you then, and I went over to the computer and turned it on. Heather immediately jumped up from the couch and pulled a chair beside mine at the desk that I felt the heat of her body beside me and I could smell the light fragrance of her hair. I maneuvered through the menus and when I got to my chat site I decided to create a new login name. What name should we use? I asked her. I don't know anything about this, you pick. Okay, I thought for a few seconds and typed CPL underscore like to watch. Oh, that's clever, she giggled. Thanks. Are you sure you want to see? There is pretty much no holds barred in these places. I wouldn't want you to be shocked or embarrassed. No problem, I'm not easily shocked. Okay then, here we go. I had always wanted to be with a woman while I went into the chat rooms. But my wife would freak if I even asked, and here I was with the woman of my fantasies, about to share it with her. Logging in as a couple was a good idea. Immediately after we got in a room there were messages wanting to chat. Heather sat intrigued as I answered the questions people asked. Are you ready to see something? I asked. Sure, let's. Not everyone will let anyone watch. You can either choose who you let watch or leave the camera open for everyone. We'll try this one, but you never know what someone is doing, you know. I clicked on one of the camera icons, not even looking to see if it was a man or a woman. The window opened covering about a third of the screen. Oh my God! Heather exclaimed wide-eyed. She moved closer to me to get a better view. Holy shit. Heather laughed. Is this for real? Yep, sure is, guys on camera here all the time. Do you? She asked. All the time. She turned to me. Really? Yep. Guess what I was doing when you called me this afternoon? No way. She laughed and stared at me curiously. Yep. You were, when I called. I smiled. Yes I was. So did you, finish? No. Oh, she snickered. I guess I barged in. Sorry for interrupting. You should be, I told her with a smile. True, but to be honest, I lowered my voice. I stare at you all the time. I've noticed, she replied with a smile as she turned toward the screen. A new window opened as someone asked us if we had a camera. I replied that we did, but it wasn't on. Woman 42 here, she told me. Heather laughed. Boy, people are not shy here. No, they're sure not. Let's see if she is a player. After all, you got your show, shouldn't I get one? I replied as I typed, here. I want to see some. Brent. You're as bad as they are. Heather laughed. I know, now you're seeing the secret side of me that even Terry doesn't see. I was kind of thinking that myself, Heather said as she smiled at me curiously. A window appeared and it showed a woman who was slightly overweight. She was not alone though, a man was with her. Her camera was set to the side so we could see her completely. Wow, Heather said, this is so cool. I sent, very cute. Thanks, now you show. If my wife knew I was here she'd kill me, so. I can't show my face, I don't want to see your face. Heather was watching, she's subtle. Well, should I? I asked Heather. Should you what? Show her. Brent. With me sitting right here you do that? Really? You can't be serious. How could you do that? Right now I'm almost too to be embarrassed. If it would embarrass you though, I can wait. Wait for what? Privacy. Wow. This is nuts, but, well, I did barge in on you, Heather said. I guess we already have some secrets we are keeping from Grant and Terry. Can I take that as a yes? I asked in a begging tone. Yes, Brent. Heather said, blushing. I can't believe I said that, or that you would ask. It must be the champagne. She said, her face crimson with embarrassment. Imagine, she continued, this is crazy. I typed into the computer, okay, just a sec, hooking up camera, okay, hurry. I pulled the camera out of the drawer and hooked it up. You're really going to do this? Heather asked. Yes, unless you tell me to stop, I said. God, Brent, I can't believe you. I grinned at her, she shook her head and grinned at me. I could see the blush. Heather sat beside me not knowing exactly what to do. At first she just looked at the computer, pretending not to notice that I was in full view only 3 feet away from her. She seemed hesitant for a few moments. Then as I took the camera off of the desk and smiled at her, she became more interested in my actions that I set the camera on the stool under the desk, turned it on and adjusted it to give a full view of my. Heather again moved close to me so she could see the screen. There we go, she sent, thanks, her eyes drifted more to me beside her than the computer now. I can't believe you are doing this, Brent, she said with a nervous laugh. More than that, I can't believe I'm here while you do it. Heather continued, I can see why you are into this though. I continued to. As she spoke, she took the lid off of the tube and turned it upside down. You like a little or a lot? Lots, I answered. Okay. I turned to look at Heather, she turned her eyes to meet mine and smiled at me. It was at that moment I felt the of her hand. Heather giggled enough. Perfect, you're good at this. Thank you. You've inspired me, she chuckled. Yes. Now. She asked, not is that okay? Sure, that's okay. Do you want to? I sure do. Can I watch? I insist on it. Do you want to on camera too? Yes, she whispered as I looked at the computer. The window told me that 14 were viewing my camera. I told Heather that our audience was not just the couple she knew about, but it included 13 others. Her eyes grew wide. Really? I stood, reached to shut off the camera. Then took Heather by the hand. Thank you, Heather. That was too fantastic for words. It was great for me too. Are you embarrassed that you came in front of all those people? No way. That was such a turn on. Wasn't it? I guess we really have to keep this secret from Terry and Grant now, I said laughing. She chuckled, no kidding. So, do you have any other secrets you keep from Terry? I write stories. Do you? Interesting, you'll have to let me read one sometime. Sure. How about you, any secrets? She smiled at me and replied, nope. I hear you. Is that why you left some makeup in the bathroom here? He, she giggled, you saw that, did you? She said, I knew you would. I also noticed that you never mentioned it when you went in the bathroom. She said. Are you kidding? If there was the slightest chance that you would come back for it tonight, I wouldn't have let you take it back. She smiled, I thought as much. I knew you were attracted to me, it turned me on to think of you when I had some time alone, too, I admitted. Oh really? All the time? Is that freaky to you? Not at all, I'm flattered actually, she said with a smile. To be honest, I thought of you too. Really? Details. I want details. I teased. She was more than I could have hoped for. After some time she began to ease her movements as she tired. I glanced over her shoulder and the computer caught my eye. I saw myself on the screen. Holy, I had not shut the camera off when I thought I did. It must have been running the whole time. We were far enough from the camera that we were completely visible, faces and everything, and here we were. Oh. I said. What? Heather breathed. We're famous how? I didn't shut the camera off. What? Honest, I thought I did. I responded. If anyone was looking, they've seen everything. I can see us. Is anyone watching? She said, I think so. Yes, there is. I can see a list of names. Really? She said, I want them all to see how good I was. Amazed and thrilled. Holy, that was good. She said. Unbelievable, I told her. I'm going to shut the camera off now. Yes. Please. I went over to the computer and saw there was 45 messages for us. I shut the camera off and looked at them. Hey, you were a star. What do you mean? There are a bunch of messages from people who were watching us. Really? Anyone we know? She giggled. I hope not. Well, honestly, I don't care who was watching. It was such a turn on to know that they were. You think so? Oh, yeah. I'm getting one of those cameras. Are you? Yep, and I'll set it up in my bedroom. Really? I'd love that. Okay, I will then. I smiled, no. Well, we have all week. But right now I should run down to my car and get my suitcase. Suitcase? Yes, she giggled, I happen to have some clothes in a suitcase in my car. Just in case I never made it back to my hotel tonight. Oh, you're naughty. I've been had. Yes, you have, and I intend to have you again.